It can be difficult to find good living books that are written at a high school level, but today I want to share several fabulous books that will interest and connect with and challenge your high schooler when he's studying ancient times. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonia Schaefer. High school students are ready for more, especially when it comes to a study of ancient times. They're ready to dig into the challenges that face historians and archaeologists as they attempt to piece together what was happening and what perspectives were prevalent in a culture that existed thousands of years ago. A good variety of biographies and original writings, plus this kind of meta-history book, is what is included in our top picks for high schoolers. Couple these books with the family reading books for a complete overview of ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, and other ancient cultures. Check the description for links. First up, A Little Book for New Historians by Robert Tracy Mackenzie. This book is not specifically tied to ancient history, but it lays the foundation by giving a closer look at what it means to study history, particularly as a Christian. As the back cover says, many people think of history as merely the past, or at most, information about the past. But the real work of a historian is to listen to the voices of those who have gone before and humbly remember the flesh and blood on the other side of the evidence. What is their story? How does it become part of our own? It's a beautifully written primer that lays out the necessary skills and methods and attitudes for a proper study of history, one that can shape the heart as well as the mind. Next, we have The Writing of the Gods, The Race to Decode the Rosetta Stone by Edward Dolnick. The Writing of the Gods provides a valuable look at how historians gather information, explore possibilities, and decide, as well as debate, what should be considered factual about the past. Those ideas are clothed in the story of the race to decode the ancient languages on the Rosetta Stone, and the various people involved in that race, amid the assumptions about those ancient peoples, and what was going on in their lives as they tried to solve this puzzle. Now take note that there are some places where pre-reading and additional discussion with your students would be wise. Nothing is inappropriate, but some ideas from a non-biblical worldview are mentioned as part of the narrative, and it would provide ideal moments to discuss those views. The lesson plans in our history curriculum, A Pageant of History, Ancient Times, will give you a heads up for those specific readings. This is an excellent book that will get your students thinking about how history is interpreted and challenged inside the story of one of the most exciting and frustrating archaeological finds of all time. Motel of the Mysteries by David McCullough. Motel of the Mysteries is a humorous book, a short read that packs a lot of punch in a fun way. It will encourage your students to think about how much we actually know about an ancient civilization and how much may be conjecture. The story is about some future archaeologists who uncover the ruins of a motel, and they seek to grasp our present culture based on what they find there. For example, they conclude that the big screen in the room must be very important, possibly an object of worship, since all of the other furniture in that room is arranged to face it. It's a great light-hearted way to start a discussion on both the discoveries and the limits of our studies in history. The Odyssey by Homer. We think it's important to include primary sources and original documents at the high school level. The Odyssey is a classic, an epic poem by an ancient Greek that weaves a story of high adventure as Odysseus voyages home after the Trojan War. The Robert Fagles translation is especially good because it retains a poetic feel along with a strong storytelling flow. That's a great combination that makes the adventure exciting and accessible. It includes an extensive introduction, notes, and several maps of ancient Greece during the time of Homer. The Trial and Death of Socrates by Plato. In these 4 dialogues, another primary source, Plato sets forth conversations that reveal Socrates' philosophies and ideas. They're not easy reading, but in them, your students will be challenged to think about the concepts of piety and religion, about Socrates' teachings, about his respect for the law in refusing to flee from his death sentence, and about his views on death and the immortality of the soul. I highly recommend the High School Student Narration Guidebook, which is part of our history curriculum, A Pageant of History. That guidebook includes an introduction to each dialogue, a reading schedule that divides the dialogues into smaller chunks and allows time to digest them, as well as customized narration prompts for the readings. Your high school students will be assigned to read these books that I'm reviewing today alongside the family readings. Most days, they'll have portions of several books to read. We recommend that they spread those readings over the day, doing other subjects in between, in order to give that read and narrate part of their brains a break. Next, we have The Storm Before the Storm, The Beginning of the End of the Roman Republic by Mike Duncan. There's a lot written about the end of the Roman Empire, but not as much about the end of the Roman Republic. It's easy for us to consider Julius Caesar as an abrupt shift in thinking, that he was just suddenly offered a crown. But this fascinating book traces the events that led up to that moment. It was not sudden. It was a gradual change of thinking based on what was happening in their world, as most of history is. Mike Duncan has an engaging narrative style of writing that brings this important era of history, Roman history, to life. It could even prompt some interesting discussions about present-day politics. And last, we have The Apostle, A Life of Paul by John Pollock. This book is a superbly crafted, extensively researched, living narrative of the life of Paul. In the book of Acts, we get intermittent glimpses of Paul's life over the years. Well, this book fills in the spaces between those glimpses, painting a fuller picture, and along with it, teaching us a lot about Jewish culture and geography and ancient Roman practices. Of course, some details have to be speculation, but those are clearly labeled as such, and they don't detract from the power of this book. We recommend it for high schoolers because some of the descriptions of the sinful cities that Paul visited and preached in, those sinful practices are not in any way sensationalized or presented inappropriately, but they are mentioned in order to give us a better idea of the culture in which Paul ministered. It's a fabulous living biography that your high schoolers will enjoy. Ancient Times is the first year in the 4-year cycle of our new history curriculum, A Pageant of History. As your high school students go through the 4 years, studying ancient times, the Middle Ages, early modern, and modern times, they will form deep relations with the people and events of history. They will discover that history is fascinating when approached as what it is, the stories of people who lived before us. No one will ever be able to know all about all of history, but we can keep our students' desire to continue learning alive and well by using living books such as these. If you're wondering how to award high school credits for history lessons like this that are based on reading and narrating living books, check the link in the description. We've collected all of our recommendations onto one simple summary page for you. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.